Dear students, welcome to lecture 3 on cash flow statement. The first part of the video will help you to understand about the computation of cash from operating activities as per direct method. For this purpose, a question in different format has been considered and explained for better understanding of the method involved in computation. The second part of the video will introduce you to the computation of cash from operating activities as per the indirect method. Here, the treatment with regard to non-fund and non-operating expenses and income has been explained. The third part of the video deals with the pro forma that is used for computing cash from operating activities as per indirect method has been explained. The fourth part of the video will give you a clear picture regarding treatment with regard to changes in working capital. The last part of the video considers a illustration question on computation of cash from operating activities as per indirect method, where the pro forma and the treatment of working capital and its relevant adjustments have been explained. Now let us move on to first part of the video. Now we will consider another question to understand about the calculation of cash from operating activities when information given in different format. Okay. If you look at the question, you are asked to calculate the cash from operating activities taking into account the sales, which is given as rupees 250 million rupees, and debtors at the beginning. So using opening and closing balance of debtors, we can calculate cash from debtors, cash received from debtors. And cost of sales is given as rupees 160 million. And the inventories at the beginning and at the end are given. Similarly, opening and closing balance of debtors also given in the question. So, by using this information, we can calculate cash paid to suppliers, cash paid to creditors. And then when you compare between payment towards creditors and the receipts from debtors, there is no other information. It's a question exclusively on receipts from debtors and payment towards creditors. So we do the calculation now. Working notes number 1. Cash paid to creditors. So here cost of sales is given. Cost of sales is given as 160 million. And opening and closing. So first we can use this number to calculate the purchases. Okay. So purchases can be cost of sales plus closing inventory minus opening inventory. So cost of sales is 160 million rupees in million, plus closing inventory given in question 18 million minus opening inventory is 14 million. So the difference is 4 million to be added. So 164 is your purchases. 164 million rupees. 164 million is your purchases. From this we have to calculate paid to creditors. So cash paid to creditors. So this is going to be purchases plus opening creditors minus closing creditors. So purchases, as we have calculated, 164 million plus opening creditors given as 33 million minus closing creditors is 30 million. So it is going to be 3 million to be added. So 164, 3 million, 167 million. Rupees 167 million is paid to creditors. Cash paid to creditors. Clear? So this you can do it in the form of ledger also. So cash paid to creditors, you can even combine. So stock can be taken as opening stock and closing stock to be appearing on the debit opening and credit closing. 14 and 18. And creditors you can combine here. Opening 33 and closing is 30. So cost of sales is 160. So this can be $111 minus 167 million. So in this way also you can do it to cash paid to creditors. So people who are comfortable with the ledger can do it like this. So we are combining both stock as well as opening and closing balance of creditors here. Instead of doing it as two separate calculations, we can do it like this. Alternatively, so if you are comfortable with the equation, proceed with this. So first you have to calculate, this is calculation A and this is B. So purchases should be taken here to calculate cash paid to creditors. Now cash received from debtors. This is working note number 1. Number 2. Cash received from debtors. Nothing but credit sales plus opening debtors minus closing debtors. So in that case, credit sales given in question as 250 million, rupees 250 million. Plus opening debtors 46 and 84. 46 minus 84. So it should be 296 minus 84. 296 minus 84. Should be 212 million. Rupees 212 million. So this is cash received from debtors. So once you know the cash received from debtors and cash paid to creditors, you can calculate cash from operations. So CFO is equal to cash from operations. The answer, this is your answer. These are all working notes. Cash from debtors 212 rupees in million. Cash paid to creditors 167 million. So the balance should be so 45 million is cash generated from operating activities. Cash from operating activities. Now let us move on to the next method. Calculation of cash from operating activities using indirect method. That means in income statement or in P&L account, all cash as well as non-items would have been claimed. Supposing this is your P&L account, you would have debited even depreciation, provision for various purposes, taxes, goodwill written off, transferred to reserves. These are all some of the non-cash items. So the net profit would have been calculated. The net profit would have been calculated taking into account. Similarly, some of the non-operating income like dividend income or dividend received or interest received would have been received. These are all not primary source of revenue to a business. So actually this dividend income is credited, because of which your net profit would have increased. And because of the debit of all these non-cash items, your profit would have declined. So the profit, finally, what is arrived using profit and loss account will have the impact of the debit of non-cash and the non-operating income on the credit side of the P&L and the debit side of the P&L account. So now we are going to reverse it to know only the cash profit. So all business decisions. So normally when it is business, profitability versus liquidity means what? Is always which is to be focused on is an important aspect in managing of money normally. Okay, liquidity means cash generating capacity, so that you can meet your obligations in time. Promptly you can make payments to your suppliers, and the extent to which your investment on assets impacted on your sales, exclusively from the cash dimension, cash perspective, liquidity. Okay, if a firm is liquid, that means the firm will make prompt payments and the comfortable position. The firm is in comfortable position as far as the cash is concerned. So sometimes, because of accounting profits, where the receipts and the payments and the payables and the receivables and the cash and the credit and the non-cash and the cash aspects are considered here in profitability calculation, you will not have clear idea about what has happened to the cash, whether the company has cash crunch or whether the company is solvent as far as the cash needs are concerned, can be calculated based on a cash flow statement and the liquidity analysis. Profit, both are equally important. If a firm could make better, if a firm could generate more cash, let us imagine there is no credit sales at all. In that case, everything is cash. Obviously, the profit what is being calculated will be more or less same when there is no, outstandings as far as or any unearned income is not there. Let us imagine all expenses are paid. There is no prepaid expenses. In that case, the answer arrived through your cash flow statement may go along with the income statement. But in reality, for a businessman, it's not always advisable to go in for cash sales. To some extent, it is always preferable. But you need to be careful on that. How much you are going to be liberal to your customers. The credit terms, how should it be? So, for calculating cash from operations, under the indirect method, we are going to reverse back all the non-fund expenses which are debited. If it is not debited,
there is no matter at all. You need not have to reverse it back. If it is given in the question that all these expenses have been claimed and the net profit is arrived, or all these operating incomes have been taken into account for calculating net profit, that means because dividend income and the interest income are part of your investing activity. Just because you made some investment out of your surplus money, you are in a position to make some income out of it. So this has nothing to do with your operating income or income or cash generated from operating activity. So such a income ought to be excluded. If you remove it, what will happen? Your profit will decline. All credit items found to be non-operating, if you remove it, your profit will decline. If you remove all non-cash expenses from the debit side, okay, your cash position will increase. So this adjustment got to be made in case of indirect method. So in case of cash flow from operating activities, calculation begins with net profit or loss. So the profit is the important subject matter here. How that the profit is arrived. So we are going to start with net profit or loss to calculate cash from operating activities under the indirect method. So the income statement normally considers all transactions. I told you already, supposing salary is outstanding, rent outstanding, electricity expenses outstanding. So it would not have been paid. It may be appearing in the outstanding ledger as this much amount is due to be paid. But it will be taken as current year expense and added with the respective expense and shown on the debit side of the profit and loss account. So expenses may be claimed on accrual or non-cash basis in the income statement. Okay, we have to reverse it back. Similarly, non-operating expenses may be loss on sale of an asset, loss on sale of investment. All these are, loss which are not operating in its nature, which are not connected with your primary source of business. Some of your old asset which has been discarded, now you are selling it and you are incurring some loss out of it and you are trying to claim it. You are claiming it as an expense or as a loss in the income statement. Does not mean it is operating. It is not operating because it's already discarded. Similarly, loss on sale of investment, some of the stock that you have bought out of your surplus money, you manage to sell it at loss. In that case, such loss may be generally in the income statement may be considered, but such loss has got nothing to do with your operating activity. So it should be reversed. So now let us look at the pro forma of cash from operating activities under the indirect method. As we discussed earlier, you have to start with net profit or loss before tax and extraordinary items. Okay, which are like unusual nature ought to be considered. So if net profit given in the question is arrived after deducting tax and the extraordinary item, you should add it back to get before tax and before extraordinary item the net profit, the amount of net profit. So that should be considered here. And deductions already made in profit and loss account towards non-cash items like depreciation, goodwill are to be added. By doing which, what happens? See, these are all already debited here. In a P&L account, it's all debited, depreciation. So the more you debit, your profit will decline. But because of depreciation or goodwill written off, cash will not flow out. It is just written off. That's it. There will be no outflow of cash. So if you add this back, your cash position will increase. So the very purpose of adding it back is to increase the cash position. So in the income statement, you have already deducted it or debited it. When you debit your gross from against gross profit, if you debit it, your net profit declines. So it should be added back. And deductions already made in profit and loss account on account of non-operating items. See, payment of interest is part of financing cost. So the money you borrow, when you borrow money, cash will flow into the business. It's part of financing activity. And when you pay interest towards borrowings, it is going to be part of your investing activity if it is a manufacturing concern or trading concern. Okay. And after having added non-cash items and the non-operating items, if debited already in the profit and loss account, we have to subtract or we have to add back all the non-operating incomes made which are non-operating in nature, maybe in the form of dividend received or profit on sale of fixed assets. So because these are all already, by showing it on the credit side, profit on sale of investments, by showing it on the credit side, you are increasing your net profit. But it is not correct, because profit on sale of fixed asset is not part of operating. It is part of investing activity. So if you remove it, your profit will decline. That's why it should be subtracted here. So all additions here means which are credited to profit and loss account. All deductions means which are already debited. By debiting it, you are showing less amount of profit. It should not be less, so we have to add it back. By crediting, you are showing increased amount of profit. It should not be shown as increased amount of profit just because of this non-operating income. So it should be reduced, so we have to minus it. I hope you are in a position to understand the logic behind. So all these additions and subtraction can happen only when these items are debited or credited. That is, non-operating is credited and non-cash expenses or non-operating expenses are already debited to income statement or profit and loss. Otherwise, you can simply ignore it because this has not impacted your profit. This has not been considered in your income statement, means your profit would not have been affected because of these expenses or income. Okay. And once you have done this, you will get cash from operating activities. Before adjustment of working capital. Before adjustment of working capital. That means the current assets and the current liabilities. That can also impact on your cash position. So first you have to consider the net profit or net loss. Along with that, you have to add back all the non-cash and non-operating expenses, and you have to subtract non-operating income, if any, given in the question. So the result will be cash from operating activities before adjusting working capital aspects. It's current assets and the current liabilities. And from this balance, you have to adjust the working capital changes in the current assets and the current liabilities. Increase in current liability will increase your cash position because you are getting more credit. So supposing your creditors are 1,000 rupees at the beginning and it is 2,000 at the end, which means you managed to get 1,000 rupees credit. That means your operating cash will be more. So it should be added. Whereas decrease in current assets, say for example, your inventory, your amount of investment on inventory is rupees 5,000 at the beginning, and now it has declined to rupees 3,000. That means you have reduced your investment on inventory. You have reduced that means you will have more cash in hand. So it should be added. So when you are similarly debtors from 7,000, let us assume it has become 4,000. That means there is a decrease of 3,000 between. So that means you have reduced. So you will have decrease in debtors. Decrease in debtors or stock means more cash in hand. So it should be added. Similarly, current liabilities, creditors. Increase in creditors from 1,000 to 2,000, creditors balance has increased, means you have received more credit. That means your operating cash would have increased. So it should be added. And similarly, the reversal effect. For the increase in current assets, supposing your investment on stock, instead of 5,000 to 3,000, if it is 3,000 to 5,000, that means you have invested more. Your operating cash would have reduced. So it should be taken as less item. Similarly, your current liabilities, see, opening is 2,000, opening balance, creditors, and closing balance is 1,000, let us assume. In that case, what has happened? You paid rupees 1,000 towards your creditors, which means this would have reduced your cash position. So it should be taken as less item. So always decrease in current assets and increase in current liabilities are to be added. And the opposite effect should be reduced or deducted, taken as less items. That means decrease in current liability and increase in current assets means you will have less cash. It should be taken as less item. These two are less items, and these two are to be taken as add item. And from out of the balance, after doing this adjustment, less income tax paid. We know as to how to calculate the income tax amount, cash paid. That is taking into account the tax claimed, tax as per P&L account, plus opening tax payable minus closing tax paid. Same method as we did earlier in the direct method. So you get the amount of tax paid. And in case of any extraordinary item, effects to be given. So the balance will be your net cash from operating activities. So we looked at the pro forma, and we looked at the meaning of and the application of this indirect method for calculating cash from operating activities. For this illustration question, now we will look at how that the indirect method can be applied to this question. Already we calculated the answer using the direct method. Let us use the same illustration to understand how that the cash from operating activity can be calculated using indirect method. So, as per the pro forma, in case of indirect method, first we have to start with net profit before tax and extraordinary items. So in this question, your net profit is given as rupees 32,000. Net profit given is rupees 32,000. And this net profit is arrived after debiting 20,000 towards depreciation, which is a non-cash expense, and income tax rupees 10,000. So the pro forma says you have to consider the net profit before tax. So I'm doing the calculation here. Statement showing cash from operations, operating activities using indirect method. So first we have to consider the net profit. Net profit before tax and extraordinary items. So here it is the net profit given in question . 32,000 and the tax is 10,000. So I have to take 42,000 as the amount to be adjusted. So 42,000, how this is arrived? 32,000, 30,000 is your net profit, plus 12,000 is the income tax amount claimed in the P&L account, claimed in P&L or income statement. From this, I have to, the formula, the format says I have to add back the non-cash. Here, depreciation, goodwill written off is not there in the question. So, depreciation is to be added. So, add depreciation. Being non-cash expense, it is already debited and this 30,000 is arrived. So, if you remove it, so from the P&L account, this 30,000 is arrived, given as net profit is arrived after debiting depreciation of 20,000 and 12,000 of tax. Tax is to be adjusted separately. So now what do I do? I have to add it back. So if I remove this 20,000 and my profit will become 62,000. So I have to add back 20,000 here. That is the reason why I am adding here. Okay, this is in the P&L account. It is all already claimed and 30,000 is arrived as per question. If you look at it, just see here. This 32,000 is arrived after deducting less expenses, less depreciation 20,000 and less income tax 10,000. So profit is 32,000. I think I observed just 30,000. No issues. We can change it. So it should be 32,000 and 10,000 here. Tax is 10,000 and net profit is 32,000. Anyway, 42,000 is your net profit before tax. And add depreciation, which is 20,000. So before working capital adjustments, this is going to be your operating profit. Operating profit or cash profit or cash generated or cash inflow due to operating activities before working capital adjustments. So from this, I have to do the working capital adjustments. So I have to look at each and every item of current assets and current liabilities. Receivable is a current asset and this is your current liability. Stock is current asset. Outstanding liability is a current liability. Prepaid current asset and tax outstanding also current liability. So first let us consider receivables, which is current asset. So increase in current asset means less in, increase in current asset means to be 3,000 to be taken as part of minus item. Similarly, payables, decrease in, so when payable decreases, you get more cash, so it should be added. Okay, you can simply understand it like this. So when your payables are decreasing, so you are getting credit, you are getting credit 17,000 at the beginning, but now you are getting only to the tune of 15,000. That means it should be, cash will be less. Decrease in current liability, your cash position will be less. By simply comparing the numbers, you can decide. So increase in receivables means you are giving more credit. You will have less operating cash. So it should be subtracted, taken as minus item. Supposing you get more credit, 17,000 becomes 20,000. You will have more cash. So it should be added. But here the scenario is not like that. Here the payables are declining. That means you used cash to settle some of your creditors. That means it is less in your cash position. So it should be taken as minus. Similarly, in case of inventory, your opening balance is 22,000, whereas it is 20. There is increase. So increase in inventory means less cash in hand. So 5,000 rupees less cash in hand. And employee benefits outstanding is increasing. That means you are getting credit. You are getting credit. So this will increase your cash position. This should be taken as plus item. So the more you get credit will increase your cash position. Whereas here income tax outstanding is declining. From out of 3,000, it is 2,000. That means you have paid. That means your cash position will be less. But we prepare ledger to adjust this. We prepare ledger account, or we will adjust it using the equation, because prepaid insurance can be directly adjusted, because we are taking into account the net profit without adjusting insurance premium. So it is enough if you simply compare the difference between these two. So prepaid insurance is a current asset. If it is increasing, that means your cash is locked. You are paying more. Your operating cash will be less. So 500 to be taken as less item. Do you get my point? Why it is taken as? So how this would impact on cash? Whenever there is increase in current asset, it would reduce your cash position. So it is to be taken as less item. When there is increase in a liability, your operating cash will increase, so it should be taken as add item. So for a liability item like employee benefits outstanding increases from 2,000 to 3,000, you are getting credit. Okay, so this would have increased your cash position. Had it been paid, your cash would have reduced. But the scenario is you are getting more credit from 2,000 to 3,000. That means you will have more cash to operate, or operating cash will be more. So it should be taken as added. So when your investment on current assets are more, your operating cash will be less. From 22,000, it has increased to 27,000, means your operating cash will be less. It will impact on your cash position. So it should be taken as less. So tax outstanding. So increase in receivables is a less items, because you are giving more credit to your customers. So your operating cash will be less. You will give less credit, you will have more cash. Supposing the scenario is like this, 36,000 at the beginning and 33,000 at the end. That means you have reduced your credit to your customers. That will mean you will be having more cash in hand for operations, for operating requirements. But here 33,000 is becoming 36,000, means you have extended more credit, because of which your operating cash would have reduced, declined. So we are taking it as less item. So now I am going to incorporate this in the statement. So here, increase in trade receivables. Increase in trade receivables to be taken as less item, 3,000 less. Similarly, increase in inventory. To be taken as less item. Similarly, increase in prepaid insurance. Increase in prepaid insurance. So all these increase in current assets are to be taken as less. Decrease in payables. Decrease in trade payables. Trade payables. Let me just check. Trade payables 2,000 less. Trade payables. 2,000 less. Then increase in prepaid insurance, we have given effect already. Trade payables given effect. And now increase in employee benefits. Outstanding employee benefits is increase, so it should be added. Employee benefits outstanding is 1,000 to be added. So we have given effect to all the items excepting tax. So trade receivables, inventory, you just look at the question over there. Trade receivables, trade payables, inventory, employee benefits outstanding, and prepaid. So all these 5 items have been given effect. So now your cash from operating activities before income tax. Which should be 52,500. From this, less tax paid. Tax paid remains same, 11,000. Taking into account tax claimed plus opening tax payable minus closing tax payable. There is no change in that method. It remains same. So the balance becomes 41,500. So this is final answer. Net cash from operating activities. Hope you are now in a position to understand the method of calculating cash from operating activities, both under the direct method is also from direct method. See, for questions like this, you cannot do indirect method because profit is not given directly. There is no profit available in the question. So we have to do it based on direct method, no other. That means you have to do it from the cash dimension, cash point of view, not from the profit point of view. So when question has details with regard to profit, you can follow either direct method or indirect method if the question has not specified anything. Supposing the question says you have to prepare using only the direct method, you have to follow the direct